Let's give credit where credit is due. Pierre PoLIEvre is the greatest leader the Conservative Party of Canada has ever produced. Nobody has worked harder. Nobody has been more consistent. Nobody has shown more dedication to the craft of misleading Canadians. What follows is a tribute. 6 greatest hits. Everyone documented, everyone sourced. The scorecard does not lie, even if he does. Greatest hit number 1. Surrender. This week, May 6th to 9th, 2026, PoLIEvre is hosting a sovereignty conference at the Westin Hotel in Ottawa. His guests, Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump's former CIA director and Secretary of State; Pete Hoekstra, the sitting United States ambassador to Canada, the man who called the 2025 Canadian federal election an anti-American campaign, delivered a profanity-laced tirade at Ontario's trade representative on Canadian soil, and openly admitted he does not understand why Canadians object to being annexed. And Danielle Smith, the only Canadian premier who refused to sign a joint statement opposing Trump's annexation threats, and who went on Breitbart News to admit she asked the Trump administration to pause its economic attacks on Canada until PoLIEvre could win. Not to stop hurting Canadians, just to time it better. The session title: Fortress North America, Securing Our Sovereignty. Sovereignty. They actually use that word. This is not a sovereignty agenda. This is a surrender in nationalist clothing. Greatest hit number 2. Documented lies. At the 2025 Federal Leaders Debate, La Presse, an independent Quebec newspaper, ran a full fact-check of every leader on stage. Their finding: PoLIEvre told more lies than any other leader on that stage. On Joe Rogan's podcast, in front of 11 million listeners, he said Canada admits 1 million immigrants a year. The real combined figure is approximately 765,000. He cited no evidence. He told Rogan that Alberta's oil sands have no impact to groundwater. Fact-checked as misleading by the Calgary Journal in Alberta. He claimed at nearly every rally that 40 violent criminals in Vancouver were arrested 6,000 times in 1 year. They were property offenders, not violent criminals. The 6,000 were police contacts, not arrests. He combined 2 separate statistics, mischaracterized both, and delivered the result as fact to thousands of Canadians every night for weeks. He waved a government report on stage in Nova Scotia and told his crowd it predicted Canada's decline under Liberal policies. That report explicitly states it makes no predictions. It carries a disclaimer saying it does not represent the views of the Government of Canada. He knew. He waved it at the cameras anyway. Greatest hit number 3. Inflation fraud. PoLIEvre told Canadians for years that Liberal money printing caused our inflation crisis, that Mark Carney wrecked Britain with the same policies and was coming to finish the job here. Here are the G7 inflation peaks in 2022. Italy, 12.8%. United Kingdom, 11.1%. United States, 8.3%. Canada, 8.1%. Germany, 7.4%. France, 4.8%. Japan, 2.4%. Canada was 4th out of 7, in the middle of the pack. The Bank of Canada's own deputy governor stated publicly that the primary drivers were international: pandemic supply chains and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Because Canada cannot set global commodity prices. And the Carney wrecked Britain claim? Carney left the Bank of England in March 2020. UK inflation peaked at over 11% in October 2022, 2 full years after he departed, driven by Britain's extreme dependency on Russian gas. He blamed a man for inflation that happened in a country he had already left. 2 years after he departed, caused by a war that hadn't started yet when he was there. And here is what he never tells you. Canada's inflation fell from 8.1% to 2.8% by early 2024. The IMF and OECD projected Canada would have the strongest economic growth in the G7 in 2025. He always stops the tape at the worst point. He never runs it to the end. That is not analysis. That is propaganda